What is going on, GPC fans out there? Welcome back to another video of mine. I'm Mr. Josh, and I'll be bringing you my Week 4 match versus Dom, aka the Richmond Rayquazes. And we were currently on a week break for the GPC. Of course, this is week 2 since our last battle, at least for uploaded, of course. And yeah, we're back, and me along my other friends are going to be uploading their battles this Saturday. So yeah, right now it's currently Thursday, and I do have school tomorrow. But I felt pretty energetic. I just finished watching the GPA Power Rankings for week 2, so I was like, hey, let's do some recording because why not? Hopefully my audio is okay. Worst case scenario, you just have to turn up the volume on your headphones or such. I do plan on putting music in the back because I've noticed that my videos aren't the most exciting things in the world, nor the relaxing, because I don't think my voice is the most relaxing voice in the world. But you know, I'll have something chill in the back, hopefully, and hopefully you can still hear me. If you can't, then that's kind of unfortunate. Then we'll work from there. But this is all a working experience. I'm still pretty new to having these mandatory uploads, so I'm still new to this. Anyways, this is obviously you can see his team. Obviously, I want to try to do this weekly with the notes.io. Shout out to Anthony for having this. He does a very good job with this. Obviously better than me, but I'm learning. Of course, you can see his I believe 9 Pokemon on the screen. One, two, yeah, it is 9. Of course, first you got Tapu Koko and Mega Beedrill. Both work hand in hand. Of course, both with very high speed tiers. I believe Mega Beedrill's base 145 speed. Tapu Koko's base 130. So he has two Pokemon either hitting the base 130 or higher, which is pretty insane. And looking at their attack stats, obviously Tapu Koko has both sides to hit really hard. And Mega Beedrill, of course, only attack. 15 base special attack is not going to get you anywhere no matter what. But that base 145 attack with adaptability is just absolutely monstrous. And of course, those two together are pretty deadly. If he does not bring Mega Beedrill, it would be because of my Mega Pinsir and Quick Attack, and how it does heavily pressure not just Mega Beedrill but his team in general. Um, Tapu Koko, I do 100% expect to come. There's no reason for it to not come. Like my ground type can get to a kill by Nature's Madness, obviously. Well, not to a kill, but it'll get 50% taken away from Nature's Madness. So its Spadef set might not even be the best set. And of course, he has Latios to kind of pressure my Palisman as well. Speaking of Latios, even though it does obviously have those powerful base 130 Dracos, I have an Alolan Muck, I have a Sylveon. It's not the best offensive Pokemon against my team, but it could come. You can bring like Calm Mind, Life Orb, like Toxic, or some. I expect just Life Orb or that's pretty much it. I don't expect like a lure set because my team doesn't really have anything for like. There's nothing Latios really lures on my team that I can really Oko back with a coverage move for the most part. So I don't expect anything too special, just like an offensive mono attacking set. Entei, he can bring Choice Scarf to really pressure my Mega Pinsir, or he can bring Bandit to hit really hard. Because obviously, if I bring like a defensive Paliswine, a non-banded Sacred Fire will not to kill me, but of course the chance of burn is pretty prevalent. I have to remember that because that's what makes Entei really, really good. Let's face it. Of course, yes, Donphan. Donphan. I don't really expect an offensive Donphan. I do expect a more defensive spinner for rocks, for spin, and of course the Earthquake is pretty nice. You can rock like Rock Slider, Stone Edge for my Mega Pinsir if he really wants to, considering it's really not a bad option. And you can also bring knockoff, for utility or just to hit Storm really hard, Earthquake for stab, the general Donphan stuff. Keldeo, I mean, I was trying to see what he could do excuse me. I was wondering what he can do creatively with Keldeo this week, and there wasn't really much you can do. So I just have Keldeo as normal special attacking Keldeo. If he does bring it, maybe Choice, Specs, Scarf. I don't expect Scarf, but I don't know. Maybe Coldberry. That's like the most unusual set I could think of on the top of my head. By the way, if you guys are wondering, I actually like prep on my way to school because it takes about 40 minutes for me to get to school from where I live. So I get a pretty decent amount of time to think about my opponent's team, and what sets I can bring, and it normally pulls through. If not, I got my friends to help me out. But for the most part, I really do these team building things by myself, especially since I really don't ask for too many mocks. I've never had a lot of mocks this season, and I guess my play has reflected it because Gone up against some pretty unpredictable sets that I would have never seen coming, but with mocks, I probably would have. But oh well. But my only mock this season, which was for Aster, I lost. So anyways, Magnezone, I air balloon for like Palace Fly for my Flygon for my Mega Pinsir. It has a really good utility because it forces my Pokemon to not click Earthquake, and Magnezone in general serves a lot of pressure against my team. Like especially if he's analytic, Muck isn't the best switch in the world after a analytic boosted Thunderbolt. Like it'll do a decent amount, so I got to keep that in mind. Whimsicott, which is also a Zmon, I should have probably put that next to Whimsicott, but oh well. I don't expect Wide to Zmon. He has better options out there, in my opinion. Like Z move Tapu Koko if Guardian of Alola basically will get rid of any wall to Tapu Koko, and that's what makes Tapu Koko really good because of that option. But of course, since it is not a Zmon, that isn't the case. But yeah, Z move Whimsicott, I don't really know what it can do. It kind of gets walled by Muck, kind of gets stopped by Magmortar. I don't expect it, but if it comes, it comes. It's probably better for me if it does come. Whirlipede, I literally only expect Hazard Stack with Endeavor if he does bring it. No other set would make any other sense. I don't expect like an SD offensive Whirlipede, um, especially since it doesn't get Baton Pass. Rip the dream. If Whirlipede got Baton Pass, oh dear God, it'd be so much better for many teams as a value pick in general. But obviously, it doesn't get that kind of fancy move set, so we just keep it at what it is. So, anyways, we're moving on to my team. My team is definitely more of a bulkier spread this week. Well, of course, it's a bulkier team, is what I'm trying to say. Mainly because I didn't see my hyper offensive mons doing the most work in the world. So I figured this would be the best option. Of course, my team, normally I don't really build around my hyper or most common Pokemon you would expect to bring. I normally look at my lower tier mons, obviously, for the last 2 weeks. I have been looking at Rotomo as a team to build around. This week, Rotomo is not coming, which is unfortunate because I love that little Rotomo. But this week, we decided to build around Alolan Muck, making its season debut for the first time. That didn't make any sense. I just basically said the first time twice, but whatever. Let's carry on. We got Alolan Muck, named after my boy Hunter, because he's a big pile of rainbow glob. And rocking the Poison Touch because with Poison Jab and obviously Poison Touch, your chances of poisoning are pretty good. And Gunk Shot wasn't really needed for the most part this week. So I just ran Poison Jab because Poison Jab will pretty much Oko type of Coco, and it just hits most of his team reasonably hard, except for Magnezone, which is obviously immune. And then there's the Whimsicott, which will obviously just get obliterated to another dimension by Poison Jab. Knockoff is for just utility, knocking off stuff. Pursuit is for the Latios. I have enough attack to Oko a Latios. Yeah, I have enough attack to Oko Eladios with Pursuit if it switches after rocks. But to be fair, I could have definitely invested more in the special defense, which I probably should have done. Mainly because if it takes enough of a hit, even with an uninvested attack and Pursuit, it will be in range of rocks. And if that's its only way of removing rocks, obviously it's going to be dead to rocks. And I didn't really think about that until after the match, so I was like, oh well. Anyways, next, actually no, I should probably explain further. Toxic is for if a predict Pokemon such as Donphan to come in, I can just will it down that way. Of course, he has other mons that are pretty well. Let me look at further into his team and kind of explain. Of course, I mean Toxic is really only for Donphan and nothing else. And like looking at his team, like knockoff plus poison jab just hits everything reasonably hard. Not called Donphan. Everything just gets hit reasonably hard, but it's dual stab, and of course with 100 attack with the adamant nature, I'll be hitting reasonably hard. As you can see my attack stat, I'm basically hitting just as hard as a max base 100 with a neutral nature and attack. So that's pretty good. What can I say? Next is Flygon. Not bringing a Z move, which is really bad because I mean the end of the season is nowhere near, but it's going to be coming close. And I'm going to be one of those guys with my Flygon, not rocking too many Z moves so far this season. Of course, only one after 4 games, and it's like, man, that's a 25% ratio of Z Crystal. And I believe it was like, what, 11 games this season at the most, maybe less. I'm pretty sure it's less, actually. So that's bad. I got to kind of invest my builds into Z move Flygon. But, that's, we'll worry about that later. Anyways, Flygon, it's enough speed to outspeed a max speed Scarf. Actually, it's speed tie with a max speed Scarf Adamant Entei. If he does bring that. If he does bring that, I don't expect max speed. If he brings it, then touche. Well, risk the speed tie and the burn from Sacred Fire if he does choose to click it, of course. rocking the dual stab with another dragon stab just in case I don't need to click outrage. I could have ran the Dragonium Z, obviously, so I don't have to click outrage if I need to. But I really like the speed for Tapu Koko and for Mega Beedrill because if outspeeding those two is really, really good. I really wanted to bring a special set so I can hit Donphan harder if it was physically defensive. But in the end, I kind of just felt like physical was better. But I honestly, looking back at it, I probably should have gone special. Not only because it's cooler, but it really just hit his heart harder. It really hit his team harder in general. Sorry if I stutter my words. It's like I don't have my watch with me. What time is it? It's like 10. Yeah, it's 10 p.m. Not that's probably not late for most of you guys, but for me it's pretty late because I normally go to sleep by like 9:30 because I'm pretty tired all the time. Shout out to Kamala being always tired, being controlled by his log. Anyways, that's not the point. Let's go on to the Lone Star. This is pretty much my 100% check to Keldeo if he just brings the standard, not a special attack in Keldeo. HP Electric specs will probably 2KO me, but if it's obviously choice specs HP Electric, I can scout, I can move around with my Muck, with my Flygon, and even my Sylveon, which you can see on the team. Psychic basically just hits Keldeo really hard. Skull because I want to get burns if I click it. No other reason. HP ground is for Magnezone because if I really want to whittle Magnezone down, and if I could do that, that would be fantastic. And recover is just to recover. I didn't feel like spin was needed because he doesn't have the best rocker in the world, obviously. Like looking at his team, hopefully I don't. Okay, yeah. Looking at his team, of course it's Donphan, and Donphan gets pretty pressured by a lot of Pokemon on my team, particularly Starmie. But even looking at my team, I'm not really bringing anything weak to rocks. In fact, nothing is weak to rocks. So I figured spin was really not that important. So I just figured, okay, let's just run recover 3 attacks. I feel like that's pretty smart. I could have run spin, but really in the end, it was not that important. This is the best moveset in my opinion that I could have brought. Anyways, that's pretty much Starmie. Not much more to explain. Next is Michael Ballin. Running Magnet Res because believe it or not, I'm pretty sure Donphan will not be able to touch me unless he's like superpower, which he should not bring superpower. It doesn't make any sense unless he protects Magnet Res Coballion, which if he does, that's pretty cool. Just Toxic for the Donphan, so when I click Magnet Rise, I can Toxic it down. Click Iron Head a couple times, be pretty good. Iron Head has a chance to 2-KO Tapu Koko without rocks. If there's rocks up, it will get 2-KO'd. But for the most part, Tapu Koko would just like obliterate me with a Life Orb Thunderbolt. So that's not the most fantastic thing in the world, but we could work around it. Close combat is so I can hit Keldeo really hard if I win the speed tie. Something to note this season, I won the speed tie against Infernape already, so Coballion has already won a total of 1 speed tie. Maybe you can win 2 if it comes down to it. You never know. Um, Really not much more to explain. This is a Pokemon that I really had a hard time coming up with in terms of a set. At first, I really wanted to bring like Dual Dance Cobalion, but he had the Donphan, so I was like, what can be Donphan? I was like, maybe Rock Polish Calm Mind, but I was like, man, but at that point, I can get whittled down pretty easily, and my special hits will probably rely on me hitting the focus blast a couple times, and that's really unreliable. So I just figured, okay, my best option is probably just a max attack speedy Cobalion, because not only do I take a draw run reasonably okay by Mega Beedrill, but I can also just take hits from Muttermons pretty well. Like I live a Secret Sword from Keldeo. I also live a Skull. Specs Hydro Pump is debatable. I probably don't. I normally don't calc. This is just off on the top of my head, but I really could be wrong. But in all reality, this was the best set. Cobalion was, I mean, it could have easily been something else, but overall, I felt like this was my best option. Next is my Sylveon. Bringing interesting. I'm not really interesting. It's pretty straightforward. The spread, I basically take any move, literally any move whatsoever from Latios. For the most part, I take a Side Shock and a Psychic with no problem really. And of course, I'm immune to its powerful Draco Meteor. Even if it's Calm Mind, a normal spread will get to a kill by a Hyper Voice, which protects HP ground in case I do predict the Magnezone to come. Because here, let me talk about something actually. Because there was one set in particular that I didn't want to talk about with Aster, and it was his Empoleon, but he dropped it. So because Empoleon is trash. But let me explain something. If he had brought a sub, what was it? It was sub. I believe it was sub Pataya. No, it was sub agility with Pataya with Torrent. Because the way it worked is that if I ever brought Sylveon in against Aster, he would be able to bring in his Empoleon because I literally cannot touch Empoleon with Sylveon. That's the one problem with it. It has a really hard time with bulky steals. And Empoleon's one of the bulkiest steel types in the game next to like Registeel. But of course, with that, he can click sub, and I'd be forced to switch, fearing any steel move. And at that point, he'd have a free sub, and every time I attack it, he'd be able to click sub until he hit Torrent with the Pataya Berry, or you just click Agility, and then get the +2 speed on my switch. And long story short, he'd be in Torrent +1 with a Pataya, and at that point, he'd be set to sweep me if I didn't have priority, which I did with Mega Pinsir, but that's not the point. That set was really deadly. So now I have to be aware of that with my Sylveon when it comes to bulky steals, and Magnezone is one of them. And obviously, Magnezone is 4 times weak to ground. So I was like, okay, let's run HP ground on my Sylveon. Hopefully, I can catch it maybe once because I am sacrificing Heal Bell for HP ground, which is pretty big because obviously Palestine can take a good amount of fire moves from Entei, and if I get burned, that's definitely not the most fortunate thing in the world. Especially since once I get burned, there's no way out of it. But of course, I do have a Starmie, so hopefully with Starmie, and of course Starmie also has to handle the Keldeo, so I have to be aware of that. But anyways, obviously moving on to my last set, which is the Palestine. Interesting, kind of an interesting spread, I guess. Not just, and I think it's enough attack to basically kill an NT after rocks. If he's the standard max speed, max attack with 4 HP or 4 defense, really doesn't matter. Rocks because I kind of want rocks. Ice Cold Crash because it hits Donphan hard. It pretty much hits everything hard except Magnezone, and obviously Magnezone does not want to switch into Palestine unless he is Air Balloon. And if he is Air Balloon, I can scout for that. I can try to predict it and click icicle crash, stuff like that. A little bit of a mixed bulk. I take Banded Sacred Fire really well. I take even Banded Flare Blitz really well. And with the special defense spread, I basically take any Magnezone hit because you won't be getting an analytic boost, obviously. And then I just kill it back with Earthquake. That's kind of the dream. That's kind of the goal. If I can get rid of Magnezone, my team has a lot more leeway. Of course, I do want to keep Palestine kind of healthy because it is one of my ground types to handle Tapu Koko, considering Grass Knot will not do a lot of damage, and neither will pretty much any move. Like Dazzling Gleam will do 0. Obviously, immune to its strong electric moves, and of course, Nature's Madness will do the most if I'm at full. And of course, my other ground type is my Scarf Flygon, which I felt like was my best set overall. I didn't really think Dragon Dance or just Easy Move was the best option. I really didn't. So that's pretty much the team. Not much more to really go over. It's pretty straightforward. Just kind of be bulky, chip stuff down, but at the same time, my mons can hit really hard. Some of them at least. Like Sylveon can hit a lot of his team really hard. So can Starmie. So can Flygon if Donphan's not around, of course. And so can Palestine. So I'm like, okay, I feel pretty confident with this team. I looked it over for a couple days. I was like, there's really not much more I can really give unless I substituted a couple mons for Pokemon such as Mega Pinsir, or maybe even Magmortar. But really, this was my best option overall. I didn't see much else I can really do. So yeah, we're gonna pause and we'll hop into the match real quick. So yeah, we'll be right back. And bada bing, bada boom, we're back. And as you can see, his team is pretty interesting. He did bring most of the stuff that I thought he would bring. He didn't bring Mega Beedrill, thank goodness, because I think kind of was a humongous problem. But he did bring the Donphan. He brought the Entei. He brought like really. By the way, I can't see my screen because I'm recording on a pretty busted screen, so I'm trying my best to work around this. But yeah, he brought Donphan. He brought Entei. He brought Keldeo. He brought the Whimsicott, which is pretty interesting. I didn't think he'd bring that for sure. He brought the Magnezone, and then it was some other Pokemon I can't really see, but we'll get there because I know exactly what happens, and I can tell you exactly what I was thinking throughout this. So yeah, we're just gonna lead start with my Palestine because I want to get my rocks up. Kind of pressures his team. He leads with a Whimsicott. Giga Drain will not be doing too much, but he clicks a Z move. I'm like, okay, is like a Balloon dude coming my way? But he clicks Fake Tears, which is really interesting. I get my rocks up, so I'm like, there's a +1 Whimsicott in the field, and I don't know how to react to that. Like, I didn't think this would happen turn 1, but I do have a Muck to kind of handle the situation. But as you can see, this Moonblast, which I guess he did predict here, um, it's gonna do a lot. It's gonna do a lot of damage. Like, I'm like, wow, that does a lot. Well, I'm not gonna over predict here. I'm just gonna click Moonblast. I'm not gonna click Knockoff predicting like Magnezone or something. And I'm just gonna OHKO the Whimsicott. So turn 3, his Whimsicott's already gone, which is fantastic. But of course, Muck is severely weakened, which is pretty unfortunate. He's going to go into Keldeo, have a reasonable, safe switch in with Sylveon. And yeah, he's just gonna click Secret Sword because I'm pretty sure Skull did not kill me. So yeah, he's just gonna click that. I'm gonna click HP Ground here now, predicting the Magnet Zone to come in. And yeah, it doesn't come in. And at first I was wondering why it didn't come in. And I was thinking maybe he was Rosalie Berry, but Rosalie Berry didn't make any sense to me. So now I'm gonna click Wish here. He gets a crit and a burn here, which is really unfortunate because, like I said, I'm not carrying Heal Bell this week. If I was carrying Heal Bell, this would be a different story. Anyways, I kind of thought he would switch here into like Magnet Zone, but he goes into Entei, which I could have gotten HP ground damage off, which would have been pretty cool. But I didn't do that. I just clicked Protect, thinking he was staying. So now I'm going to click Protect here, just in case he is locked in. I can see what he locks himself into, as I will just click Protect, obviously. And he goes for the Iron Head. So I'm going to go into my Starmie, and I want to see if he is choiced. Because if he is choiced, this will give me information further hand. So he's going to click Iron Head, gets a crit, and I might as well explain this crit damage. I went to my calc, and I was like, okay, time to see if this is banded or any other item. And yeah, this is definitely a non-boosting item adamant ente. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, he's probably Scarf. Let's just play around that. So yeah, I'm gonna click I click Skull here, just predicting him to switch really. As he goes into Keldeo, and I will not get a burn here, which is pretty fine because I'm just gonna outspeed, and unless he has Psychic Resist Berry, he is not going to live, and he is obviously dead. So yeah, automatically I'm up 4-6. I feel pretty good up to this point until well, not yet, but yeah, he brings in Tapu Koko here. I got to go to my Palace Find. This is pretty much one of my counters. I could have also gotten a Flygon because he wasn't going to click HP Ice there, but I figured he might also click Dazzling Gleam because that was a viable option. But he goes for Nature's Madness and he misses. Not only does he miss a good amount of 50% off my Palace Find, but this is going to matter. This is going to matter a big time later on in the game, and you'll see why. As he's just going to click the safe U-turn here, I'm going to click Icicle Crash because it's my safest play. I didn't think he'd go hard Magnet Zone unless he was Air Balloon. If I wasn't really thinking Air Balloon at the time until I saw it, I was like, oh, cool. Good thing I clicked Icicle Crash. So now at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I live pretty much any hit. I can just Oko him back with Earthquake, and we'll be up 6-3, and I'll be pretty much set to win at this point. Nothing can go wrong. Until he clicks Magnet Rise, and I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. So I'm like, okay, now he's gonna click Flash Cannon, so I can just go to Michael Balian, click Close Combat, and it will be okay. But he clicks Sub here, and now at this point, I'm like, oh my, I'm in quite a predicament because Michael Balian will die to his Magna Zone, and what do I hit it with afterwards? Most of my team only really has ground coverage and other moves. My Starmie will not kill the Scald, and everything else is just Dragon, Hyper Voice, knockoff. Muck has a chance to live, but it's not in its favor, so I can't even risk that. So at this point, I gotta really think. I'm like, okay, I gotta make a sequence of plays which will put me back into this game. So right here, I'm gonna go into my Palace Line to absorb the obvious Electro move here because it will just obliterate. It will definitely obliterate Michael Balian for sure. So now I gotta go into my Flygon, predicting the Steel move. I could have gone to Starmie, but I don't want to sack Starmie because obviously, from what I can tell, it is a pretty decent Entei counter. So now I'm going to click U-turn, and I'm going to go into my Muck and sack it because it's my best sack overall at this point. Muck is not needed for much of anything. So I'm going to sack it to this analytic boosted Flash Cannon. Muck will go down. So now I got to go and try to just get rid of the magnetism, which obviously happens here, I believe. Yeah, I did. So I'm gonna click Earthquake, and what would have been bad is if he had clicked Magnet Rise again there. If he had clicked Magnet Rise again there and then click Sub, I would have been in huge trouble. But now I can just go into this thing, click HP Ground, and I'm gonna be good to go. If he had actually clicked Magnet Rise again, I would have probably lost at that point because I ran out of stacks, and he would just be able to click Sub again for free. And at that point, I wouldn't. Oh, I mean, I guess I can Sacco Bound at that point and then go into my Starmie and kill his Scald. But actually, I might not even kill it with Scald, but it would have been a tough situation. It would have been really, really tough. I would not like. Good thing he didn't do it. But anyways, he's gonna go into his Dawn Fan. I'm pretty sure he'll live any Skull I go for. So he's just. I'm gonna go to my Sylveon on the obvious knockoff because what else was he gonna click there? He obviously just wanted to knock off my whatever item my Starmie was, which was obviously leftovers. So now I'm gonna click Hyper Voice because it will do a clean amount to his Dawn Fan. It will to a KO it, which is pretty interesting. So I see he's not AV, so I'm like, okay, is he Pashoberry? Which, if he is, he is. It's fine. Anyways, he puts me in range of Ice Shard, and I'm just gonna die there, which is fine. I'm gonna go to my Starmie, and if he has Pashoberry, I'm gonna kind of hope for a burn. Considering he got a burn already earlier this game, I would like a burn too, but I don't get the burn. and he would be doing a decent amount to me with Earthquake, but really, he was going to go into Tapu Koko the next turn no matter what and just obliterate me. So that wasn't really necessary. Anyways, this is a pretty important play here. All he has left is Tapu Koko and Entei. Here's what I probably should have done. I at this point I was not thinking that this was even Scarf. Freaking, I wasn't thinking this was Scarf Entei anymore. If I had thought that, I would have been in a much better spot. But since I wasn't thinking about Scarf Entei, my best play here was sacking Cobalion, then go into my Paloswine and then just click an Earthquake. But at this point, Cobalion doesn't do anything, considering he is Scarf Entei, and he would just obliterate me with Flare Blitz. I mean, it's a roll to kill me, but it's way in his favor. It's like 87.5% chance to kill me, which is not good. So that was definitely my best play. Just sack Cobalion, go to my Paloswine, click Earthquake a couple times, and be fine. And of course, I have Starmie in the back to potentially take a. Actually, no, I'm very low. I died of Flare Blitz. What am I saying? I mean, this was very tricky. Like, if I had gotten the burn on the Dawn fan, this would be much easier. But since he didn't get, I mean, I didn't get the burn, so this is more interesting. This is an interesting situation. Anyways, I'm gonna go into my Paloswine, take this grass knot like it's my damn job. Take about 42%, which is pretty good. Earthquake will obviously just obliterate it unless he was Shuka. He wasn't gonna live. And now here is I go to my calc. I'm like I live adamant Flare Blitz unless he gets a crit, I don't die. And with my attack investment, I actually kill him after recoil with Earthquake, even if I get burned by Flare Blitz. As you'll see, he's going to go down to around 36%, I believe. 37. Yeah, he was around 38%, and the lowest roll I could have gotten on a non-burn Earthquake was 76%. And obviously, with my attack is halved, my lowest attack would be 38%. So I would kill him no matter what, even if I did get burned. So yeah, the game was over. But let me go to a previous play. Obviously, the Nature's Madness miss. If he had not missed that Nature's Madness, he would have won, most likely. He would have to come Michael Bowling from full with Flare Blitz, which, according to my calc, like I said, I would not live because I wasn't defensive invested like I wanted to be. If I originally would have been, it might have been different. I could have brought Aquaberry, Cobalion. That could have been an option. But like I said, like if I wanted to take a hit from Entei, it would be a Sacred Fire, and like why would I want to do that? It doesn't make any sense. Unless I was special with Focus Blast, which, like I said, was unreliable. So it was an interesting matchup. I did I win because of a miss? Yes, 90% of the time. I'm pretty sure I would have lost that game. And in fact, that goes for quite a few of my games. Like in fact, I could easily be 1-3, but I am now 3-1. And am I proud of the fact? Not really. I feel pretty bad for the current situation I'm in. Like, I don't even feel like I'm a good player because I'm winning all these games because of RNG. It's unfortunate, really. I feel bad because I'm not showing off the kind of player I am because not only am I not really looking into my opponent's potential sets because I don't do mocks. That's just really not who I am. I really don't think mocks are that helpful, contrary to popular belief. It probably is, but like I said, it's just really not my style. I really don't take part in mocks, but like maybe I would have saw the set coming, but like Dom has quite a bit of friends in this league. I don't know if any of them would have even wanted to help me to begin with because they probably helped them one way or another. Like, but I don't know. It would have been tough. I don't know. And obviously, it was a tough game. I thought I had it in the bag earlier, but as soon as he pulled out that magneton set out of his back pocket, I was like, oh god, I'm in trouble because that set really did a number to my team. Like, there wasn't really an option where I could break the sub and then go on Michael Ballin to kill with close combat. There wasn't really an opportunity for me to do that, and he played that really well, obviously, because he knew that. He knew that from the get go. Like, it was tough. If I had brought like Mega Pincer, I could probably just go to Mega Pincer. Actually, no, I'd probably go Kubali and click close combat, then kill with Mega Pincer in close combat. But it was tough. There was not much I can do about that, really. That can you say it was my fault? No, I think it was called Dom played that really well. What more can I say? It was pretty unfortunate, but shit happens. It's Pokemon. 90% of the time, I lost that game, but 10% of the time, I win, and I was on the 10% roll of the die. And what can I say? I'll take it. So yeah, we win against Dom. It's pretty unfortunate for him because considering he really only has one win against Redivin, but I think he'll bounce back. He's getting more of a feel on his team. The first couple of weeks, he just got absolutely tossed because his hyper offensive builds were not working. But now he's getting more of a feel to it. He's getting an understanding of how to actually build and how to play around his opponent's team. and I do have quite a bit of confidence. I love Dom. He's a really good guy. He's gone through a lot of, like I said, like if you watch my previous videos, I mentioned how I think he like broke his hand or something like. I already forgot, but something bad happened, and he's always there. Like he's always he's everybody's friend. Like he's kind of like Aster. Everybody kind of likes Dom. You don't hate him whatsoever, and because of me, he's actually fallen in love with Paloswine as a Pokemon in the league, and I do appreciate that because I've definitely I can say utilized Paloswine pretty professionally. You can you can argue against me if you want, but I do believe I've used it really well, and I've actually inspired him to use it. So shout out to Dom. I love you, man. And hopefully the RNG was not too hurtful against you because it definitely hurt me to see that such a well played set didn't work because previously you missed Nature's Madness, and that's unfortunate. My throat's it's hurting. I gotta stop recording. But anyways, not much more for me to explain. I can go over my next week's opponent, which I should probably check. I haven't checked who it is, and currently we are number 2 in the standings. But that's because at this point, not a lot of players have actually made their games, or they've not a lot of them have completed their games. But yeah, we'll see what happens at the end. Hopefully, we can be in the top 4, because that obviously means we're in playoff contention for the first time this season. Because after that 0-1 start, it's kind of hard to bounce back. Let's face it. Anyways, our next week's opponent is actually Anthony. So yeah, fuck me. Yes, that's gonna be bad. But you never know. Maybe we'll be the ones to hand Anthony his first Gen 7 loss of his career, unless he already lost. I think he might have actually. I might be wrong though. But anyways, that's all for me. I'll be seeing you all next week. So yeah, au revoir and peace.